I'm a PhD.
I'm a nuclear physicist.
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 What's cracking, people? It's your baby mama's favorite cousin T-Taw. And before we get started today, listen, DJ Sipmore, master teacher, I already know I ain't shit, okay? But we gonna rock and roll with this anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, okay. First of all, let's do this. First of all, shout out to the style godfather, the late Kevin Samuels, for providing such a timeless clip that will obviously never get old. But shout out to the followers who kept sending me this particular clip from the Pineapple Show regarding the young man who was put in a position to show who he was, to show his energy, show what ism was in store for the young lady who potentially could have matched with him. But let me be clear, this is not a bash this young man video. He's doing great work. Shout out to him. Thank you for his service. I guess he's shoving off. I guess he would have done it last week at the Navy. But let's not let this moment pass by. This is a teachable moment for all of the young men out there. He's relatively young. I guess he was 27 years old, and the young lady that was interviewing him was 23. That being said, as we always say in these spaces, most women can run circles around the average guy in terms of conversational gymnastics. There's so many studies that I've cited in terms of, researchers pointing out that the average woman uses between 15 and 20,000 words a day, whereas the average man uses about 5,000. So when we apply that to this specific situation, the young man, he was outmatched. Obviously, he was or is into intellectual pursuits. He's very ambitious. He's very driven. But all of that needs to be processed and expressed in terms of his confidence in this particular situation. Now, him reading down the laundry list of his accomplishments, which are impressive, which are great and necessary in a particular context, that should have been saved for, a promotion interview or, when he's writing his own book. Speaking of books, right, we're going to get to the, correcting his course in terms of his conversational kung fu a little bit later. But why did my man bring a book to a Shark Tank? Okay, let's be clear. These two ladies, the host, Melly Monaco, and her guest, her featured guest, a young lady, they were cool, calm, and collected, just sitting back because they understood that women tend to have the advantage in a situation where a man is attempting to qualify himself to them. Now, obviously, in a space like this that teaches game, that teaches seduction, in my case, we want the man to be in that position of having the prospective woman qualify herself to him. How do you do that? Well, first, like I said, you do not bring a book to a Shark Tank unless it's the book you wrote or your mixtape that's about to drop or something like that. But then you would be in a completely different mindset and your nerves would be better handled. And that's kind of what I want to bring across in using this example with this young man here. He was so concerned with saying just the right thing that he just threw everything out against the wall and tried to see what stuck. Whereas had he been under the mentorship of a masculine master, he would have understood that it's playtime. Okay, it's literally playtime. You're surrounded by women who don't know you, who don't know what's in your bag, who don't know what you have up your sleeve. And for the guys who would be like, oh, he's acting like a gesture. Oh, he's, having to prove himself. He's got to, perform for these women and all this other stuff. It's all about shifting your mindset. He chose to be on a show that was designed by this young woman to have other women pass or fail men based on how he shows up in that moment. Let's be clear. It's not like he was at the DMV trying to get his license and the woman behind the counter wanted him to perform, or she would have dismissed him, had security bring him out. No, this was not the situation. Situational awareness is critical. Okay, so he signed up to be rated by this young lady based on how he performed in that moment. Let's just be clear about that. But beyond that, like I said before, this was an opportunity for playtime. And let's be clear, we already addressed the book situation. That probably should not have come up in the conversation. But the second thing was that when he mentioned that he was a nuclear physicist for the Navy, that was one of those things that in the moment did not necessarily fit the dynamic of the conversation. See, the dynamic of the conversation was casual and low key, and it did not require an extensive read of his resume qualifications. It's just like if you were applying for a job at a lounge or a bar or a nightclub establishment, you are not going to drop that you are a qualified nuclear physicist or that you have a master's degree in neuropsychology or something like that. You are clearly overqualified for that job, and depending on the hiring manager, they will say, well, you are overqualified for this job. We're not going to hire you. Okay, so you can be declined in the real world for overqualifying yourself. What I recommend, and here's where your cousin's going to bring it home, okay? Because you're my cousin, I want you to win, and we're going to treat you just like the average at best chick, right? She got the makeover, didn't really do much, but that's another story. I'm going to give you a little insight into what a coaching client session would look like, okay? Somebody send them this information. I would gladly provide them with the complimentary coaching client session. But one of the things that we do is that we identify areas of your life, be it your profession, your lifestyle activities, your interests, and just how you present yourself to the world, and we tailor that in a statement of activity. Okay? So an example of that is that we got the information about what your profession is. All right? You are about to be a nuclear physicist with the Navy. Great. That's wonderful. How you can represent that in a way that fits the dynamic of a casual scene or casual conversation is this. Use this example. Okay? I'm a sailor. It's all about that motion in the ocean, sexy. But tell me more about you. All right? That's just an example. You don't have to mention, your rank, your title, or whatever. You're a sailor. That's interesting. That's approachable for the civilian sector. That's something that can be latched onto and a touch tone point within a conversation that you can transition back to her. All right, you're a sailor. You're in the boats. You like to go on the water. How about you? But when you present such a high status element about yourself, nuclear physicist, what can any person that's out of that sector respond to that with? If you don't recognize and understand how to pivot the conversation yourself, which is another aspect of that ism, which is another aspect of having a competent mouthpiece. We're not talking about even an expert level mouthpiece, okay? This is just having a competent mouthpiece at a conversational level. Two people having an enjoyable conversation, a back and forth, playful, flirty, and even if you were, I'll take it to the next level. even if we were to say, okay, you put out there, I'm a nuclear physicist, table that with something that allows it to be flirty. Okay, I'm a nuclear physicist, so I need a woman who can stimulate this big brain. But anyway, tell me more about you. There's so many ways and so many directions that he could have taken command and control of that particular dynamic in that moment. But like I said, that's a conversation best had, within a coaching client session. But I really want to drive home the point of not attempting to oversell or overqualify yourself as men to a potential woman that you desire to acquire. Just be comfortable with being present in the moment with the playtime that's happening within that space. Let's be clear, gentlemen. At the end of the day, this young man is going to be fine. He is a sailor, okay? Do you even realize how much poisse sailors get on the regular? But in any case, as always, leave a comment down below, like, share, and subscribe. This is your man, Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, saying stay sharp and mission focused. Later.